I don't know what rock bottom is for a season that's not half over yet, but I think the Kings just hit it with their an embarrassing, pathetic second half. Absolutely pathetic. A tied ball game in intermission of 52, and the Kings get blown out by a team that had the same number of wins as them, 122 to 95. I used the term gutless yesterday. This is beyond gutless, and something's going to happen here. And let's get right to it, Ryan. Is Mike Brown's job in jeopardy? Is he going to be fired?
Yes, Mike Brown's job's definitely in jeopardy. Regardless of the extension, you score 7 points in 9 minutes. You've got the other team throwing the ball off the backboard to themselves, kicking it to the corner for a three with nobody there defending. Looked like the team, and this is a strong word, quit, to be honest with you. And Grant, that usually falls at the door of the coach.
Wow. This ship is sinking, and it's not only listing, it's taking on so much water that I don't know if it can be saved. I don't even know where to begin right now. I feel so bad for the fans that look so forward to going to these games, particularly over the holidays when a lot of your sons and daughters and nieces and nephews are home for winter break from college, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot of friends coming into town. Hey, let's go to the game. It's going to be fun. Let's plan our day around it. And this is what how do you walk out of that building today and say to yourself, I can't wait to go back to another game?
It's a great question. Can't answer it, Grant. I could tell you this. My brother got here from Boise, Idaho last night, and him and his wife straight to the game today. And that's the performance that they saw. It's the holiday season. You're almost at the halfway point of the year, coming up quicker rather than later. Without serious change or without something for the fan base to hang their hat on and say, okay, this is a different direction, I don't think you have any reason to believe things will change.
De'Aaron Fox post-game comments last night or yesterday after the game, yesterday evening. Read between the lines. Listen to those comments. Is he taking shots at the coaching staff and Mike Brown? Is he taking shots at his teammates? I mean, there's obviously a big disconnect going on in that locker room right now. That's not debatable anymore. It's not debatable. You're 0-4 on this homestand now. Your season is basically tanking. And this is the performance you give today. This is not a quick fix. And let's just call it the way it is. As we say, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
DeMar DeRozan edition has been a complete failure. Doesn't mean he's been a failure. The pickup of him and the pieces that Monty McNair has put together have been a complete failure. Failure.
And what did we say about DeMar DeRozan, Napes, when the Kings signed him? The guy's a chameleon. He can fit in anywhere.
It's not fitting in right now, and the players aren't fitting in with him. It's just not working. It's just not working.
Okay, so I'm going to counter this to you. So we've been asking deep questions this entire week. Mike Brown wants the Kings to play team basketball. Can you play team basketball with De'Aaron Fox on your roster?
No, you can't.
You can't. I agree with you, because we asked about Sabonis. Does Fox make Sabonis better? We said no. Does Sabonis make Fox better? Yes.
I don't think De'Aaron Fox makes anyone on the team better, personally.
And that's what I'm getting at, as we're starting to peel the layers back. And this is not just because of the losing streak. You look at the 8-year tenure here, he gets his work done. He puts his numbers up. But how does he elevate everybody else? You have to put him more into that Harden role. You have to put him more into the ISO guard, where it's got to be a massive night for him to win a basketball game. despite what everybody
Unbelievable.
else does. And let me
Uh,
shoot you this too, by the
yep.
way,
Yep.
because maybe Mike Brown doesn't lose his job, but at the very least, he's going to have to make some adjustments. The Kings still have, and maybe they don't after tonight, but coming into tonight, a positive net rating. Their net rating, Grant, for the first quarter this season is a negative 0.9.
That's horrible.
The teams below them, Grant, the Pistons, the Hawks, the Bulls, the Jazz, the Pelicans, the Hornets, the Spurs, the Raptors, the Wizards, the Blazers, the Heat, and the Warriors. Those are all the teams. So take the Heat and the Warriors out of there because they're still in contention.
The Kings are 13 and 17 now. Their net rating is plus 1.2.
But in the first quarter,
Yeah,
they are
I know.
Which
is bad. Very bad.
And that's your best 5 on the court. So with the bench so thin, that's a problem. I think you have to relook at this starting 5.
I think you got to relook at the whole team, to be honest with you.
Well, sure, obviously, but it starts with the starting 5.
Correct. I don't even know what to say at this point right now, other than the Kings are truly one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA this year through 30 games or so. There's no other team that I could say right now, maybe Minnesota, okay? Maybe Minnesota, that's more disappointing than the Sacramento Kings.
No argument for me. I think you're spot on there, partner. No argument whatsoever.
And I have no idea what the hell happened to Keegan Murray in the offseason, where he went from being a functional, fairly consistent offensive player in terms of three-point shooting to now where I don't even feel comfortable when he has the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I'm not that far gone with Keegan Murray. I think he's done fine when it comes to around the paint and creating under pressure. He's done pretty good there. The three-point shot's a problem. I think it comes down to this team synergy, share the ball. The ball has energy. The ball doesn't share. And we talked to Jerry about it at halftime. You've got DeMar DeRozan now in the spots that Keegan Murray was at.
Yep, very true.
In the corners, you've got him. So you're taking away really what Keegan does best. And that was one of the questions. Would this stunt Keegan Murray's growth, Grant?
It's a great question. And I think there's some validity to that. I'm also going to take Malik Monk and I'm going to put him back on the bench. I think he's better there. I'm sorry. I just think it's better for the team. I just don't like what I'm seeing in the starting unit. And you just talked about the first quarter, although Monk hasn't started the whole season. Yeah. But these first quarters have been dreadful. Listen, I'm reaching for stuff right now. I don't have any answers,
If I'm Mike Brown, like if you said, hey, Mike Brown, you're fired, and ring, ring, Ryan in Sacktown, you want to coach the Kings? Not really. Can you come coach the Kings? Okay. And I go and coach the Kings. The first move I'm making, I'm putting DeMar DeRozan on the bench. He's coming off the bench, and I'm putting Trey Lyles in the starting lineup. And hear me out. The reason I'm doing that is you need more motion around Monk and Fox. Trey Lyles, he's moving around a lot. He's active. He's physical. He's one of your more physical guys. So now you've got Lyles and Murray on that front line. You get Keegan some more consistent looks and touches at the ball. And then with that second unit, that's DeMar's second unit. You let him
I might
ISO.
try Kevin Huerter for DeMar DeRozan too. That would be an option.
Good point as well.
Jerry has talked about him playing the 3, thinks that could be a good fit for him, particularly against certain teams in this league.
Yeah, it could. Well, you know what? You know why I wouldn't do that? Because I feel like we've seen the best of Kevin Huerter, and I know it's not great, but him coming off the bench, he knows his goal or what he's being asked to do is score, Grant. And so that's where his mindset at, and he's been decent at it. He's just not getting a ton of looks. And then we can talk about why the hell Keon Ellis didn't play tonight. You've got guys running circles around Doug McDermott. Bless his heart. He hustled his ass off, but defensively, There was nothing he could do, and you've got Keon just sitting right there.
I don't know where the Kings go from here. I do know this, okay? There's a lot of behind the scene rhetoric going on right now, this very second, with the owner. I am absolutely positive of that. Positive. And I guarantee you, 100%, there is a discussion going on right now whether they should make a coaching change. I've been very clear about this. For those of you that weren't with us this summer, I said it was asinine and stupid to give Mike Brown a contract extension. I said there was no reason to do it. It made no sense to me. And I firmly believe, regardless of whether it's justified or not, that if Mike Brown had not signed that extension this past summer, he would not be coaching the Kings next game. I believe that 100%. And the only thing right now that may be saving his job, and again, I'm not saying it's fair to put all the blame on him, but that's how these things work. We saw a Sacramento Kings team quit in the second half today. Had it not been for that contract extension, I believe that Mike Brown today would have coached his last game. Is his contract enough to save his job? And if the answer to that question is yes, why do I think that this is going to get better anytime soon?
You don't really quick. Thank you so much, by the way, for the super chat, John.
We appreciate it, John. Thank you
very much. Since Vivek has owned the Kings have had the worst overall record in the league at 287 and 517. T-Wolves second worst, Nets third. Per chat GBT, when do we start blaming ownership?
Well, you always blame ownership because that's where it starts. And again, you can blame ownership for the stupid move of extending a coach when you didn't have to. And by the way, for those of you that don't think that Vivek will pay a guy and then fire him right away, go talk to Vlade Divac. Vlade had just signed a new deal. The ink had not even been dry, and he got fired. And the Kings had to pay him. And a matter of fact, I think they're still paying him, or that may have just expired. So for those of you that think that just because you have a new deal, you're not going to get fired by this man that owns the team, you're mistaken.
Okay,
now,
so
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please finish. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going to say, but the question is then who would you hire as your coach?
Well, you probably have Jay step in for the rest of the year, but let's play this out for a second, okay? Let's play this out. I've got I've got some short clips of what he said last night. Do you want me to play a couple of those?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
So here's your first one from De'Aaron last night.
Didn't keep Rui off the glass, and that kind of, you don't want to say one thing ultimately decided the game, but obviously that's a big thing.
De'Aaron, it just feels like all season long, you win 2, you lose 2, you win 3, you lose 3. Just what is it that's causing you guys to spin your tires here again and again?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's your first one. We talk about details, little things like that. Mike Brown, for the last how long, has preached the details.
Can I just interrupt 1 second?
Please.
For those of you that might be asking yourself, why are we playing sound from last night's game? It's because we want you to listen carefully and try to read between the lines. So go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. So De'Aaron refers to the details as the little things. Here's your second clip.
Time. So, but you just have to, especially obviously like Aylin hadn't played a lot, so you obviously big body, but he's not loose. But when we're down there, you have to communicate. Everybody needs to know who they're supposed to get at times. If you're double teaming somebody.
So doesn't think Alex Len should be in the game. Here's your third and last one.
Keeping the group together, is there anything specifically you're trying to do as a leader to keep everybody together through this?
I mean, at some point, we have to, and this was something that we talked about before the game. Like, you have to find a sense of like enjoyment playing the game. Obviously, we all want to win, everybody needs to do whatever it takes to win. Rather than making shots or doing the little things. But at some point, you have to have enjoyment winning or enjoyment playing. And then, you enjoy playing with each other. You enjoy going out there and doing the hard things. And then comes winning. Like there's never been, or at least not too many teams haven't been happy, or smiling, playing with each other, knowing that you have each other's back, knowing that, if you get beat, you have somebody behind you.
And there, remember last night, De'Aaron got posterized by LeBron and help
Yep.
was not behind him.
Yep.
So, Grant, here's my question for you. You fire Mike Brown. Have you now handed the keys over to De'Aaron Fox and the players?
That's exactly what you're doing. By the way, the question started off as the leader. I don't think he's a leader. I don't think I've never thought that De'Aaron Fox in that way, but I just wanted to point that out. Thank you for the super chat donations. The buck stops with Mike Brown. No, it really doesn't, but thank you for your super chat. He's one of the guys. I don't think the buck just stops with one individual with this mess. And this is absolutely a mess. Make no mistake about it. John, appreciate your super chat donation. We got to this earlier. We missed one along the way. I'm trying to get to it, but where do you go from here, Ryan? What do you do now if you're the Kings? I mean, you're embarrassing yourselves in this Western Conference right now.
Yeah, and a lot of the GMs don't or didn't, at least in the last GM survey, really respect Sacramento and this front office. They thought the Sabonis thing is kind of a gimmick. They think this team's built on stilts. I think Vivek has to make a decision. It's got to be, if there's any turmoil, you've got to go to one side. You can't keep playing in the middle, because Grant, you're going to see things like you did tonight. You're going to see 2 losses to the Lakers.
All right, this was just not that long ago. Neither a player or coach has entered the press room as of currently. This was just a few moments ago. I'm not able to watch what's going on in press room.
I'm monitoring it.
Okay.
So we'll get to it when they do.
So nobody's been in yet?
I have not seen anybody in yet.
Okay, that would be highly unusual considering that the game ended 20 minutes ago.
Well, maybe the team's talking.
Okay, well, what are they talking about? Are they in the process of firing their coach? Why is it Mike Brown out nearly 20 minutes after the game?
That's better equipped for you. You've been in that circumstance. You've been in the locker rooms more. You know the process. Yeah,
generally a coach doesn't get fired right after a game. Generally it happens, after everyone goes home and you're able to put a press release out, and, so that's my experience. And trust me, I'm an expert when it comes to coaches being fired because I did, I've been around many of them, and it's not a pleasant experience. I've never once been happy when a coach was fired from the Kings. Not one time that I ever go, wow, thank goodness. Not once. I don't like to see it. I feel bad because a lot of times the assistant coaches lose their jobs too. It's a very unpleasant experience, but it's also part of professional sports. And every single coach that signs a contract to become a head coach knows that they're hired to be fired. And by the way, I'm not going to feel bad for Mike Brown if he gets fired. He's got a boatload of money. He can go enjoy his life, and he doesn't have to deal with this nonsense that's going on right now.
And to a degree, De'Aaron's somewhat used his playbook to get De'Aaron's narrative out there about the organization needing to do whatever it takes to get this team over the top to win. The podcast dropping, Rich Paul sitting courtside, the meeting with Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox, because the fans react. That's how Mike Brown got his extension. Oh, we got to sign Mike Brown. He's not worth $20 million.
Did the Kings make the playoffs last year?
They did not.
Well,
injuries though, Grant.
How many coaches get contract extensions after a year like last year? When they don't, when they already have a year left on their deal to go. There's
Well,
just no reason for it.
well, okay, let's go the other way. You broke the playoff drought. You hadn't been to the playoffs in 16 years. If you look at last year, you could say, man, the
Which is
easy.
no great accomplishment, by the way, if you really break it down. But go ahead.
Okay, but you could say, man, we were ravished with injuries. So many injuries this season. You know what? That team fought for Mike Brown the second half during those injuries. In fact, the defense got way better. The net rating went up. So you've got a coach that broke the playoff drought, did what he could with damaged goods because guys were hurt. And you roll into this season and you bring in another piece in DeMar. So I guess it's in Sacramento. I think you get a little more leeway than if you were in New York and you made the playoffs one year and then you miss them the next.
122-95, the final. And Merry Christmas to you and Happy Holidays, despite this awful basketball. We appreciate your super chat donation. So thank you very much for that.
Hey,
and we greatly appreciate it. Believe me.
So Mike is speaking to the media right now. Quote, I thought once we missed some shots, we dropped our heads a little bit. You have to be locked in guarding a team like that because of their pace. Also, they were out just because the minutes weren't there. Mike Brown on why Keon Ellis and Isaac Jones did not play. Brown said he tried to give Doug McDermott and Trey Lyles a look. So, quote, they were out because the minutes weren't there. And Doug McDermott went 1 for 4.
Doug McDermott can't play anymore. We said that before. Forget about Doug McDermott.
Okay,
seriously.
But hear me out. The minutes weren't there, but Doug McDermott played 18 minutes.
I understand. I'm not attacking you. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying, I don't want to be on a post-game show after a near 30-point blowout, and we're debating Doug McDermott's minutes.
I hear you. You know what? Why don't we mix it up? We're gonna get to the calls. Make sure you chime in on the conversation. It's our last Kings post game before the Christmas holiday. So Merry Christmas from us to you, and thank you so much for your support. We'd love to hear from you. Let's kick it off with Dorian. Dorian, welcome in, buddy.
What's up,
Dorian?
Mike? Hey, brother. What's up, Grant? Nice to see you, brother.
You too, my man.
If you're on the chat, please like, subscribe. Make sure you follow if you don't like that. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Kings content, guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to you, buddy.
One of the lowest of lows for the Beam Team era, man. The lowest of lows for the Beam Team era. I mean, I don't know who is to blame. If it's Monty, Vivek, Mike Brown, the players. I think everybody shares accountability. But what do you do? What do you do moving forward? I mean, I think Mike Brown has tried every rotation. Besides maybe having Lyles in the starting lineup. I'm kind of confused on why Keon didn't play very much minutes this game. You lose to the Lakers, you lose to the Pacers. I mean, it's really tough to watch. It's I'm a lifelong Kings fan. I have a tattoo of the Kings. Ryan, so do you. I mean, Grant, you've announced the Kings for 32 years. This is a really we've all been through really lows in the Kings era. But guys, what do you do? I mean, do you leave Fox? Do you trade Fox and get some assets? I mean, what does Vivek do? What does Monty do? If I'm other teams in the NBA, I'm watching Sacramento burn and getting players at a discount. I mean, I don't know what there is to do.
I wouldn't trade Fox now. I would wait until the trade deadline because I think you could get more for him then because teams are more desperate or more willing to make a move as opposed to around Christmas time. That's been my experience.
Ryan, what about you? What do you think?
I think at the very least, you got to make a change to the core, not saying a trade, but just before Detroit, you've got to try something new.
Sure.
At the very least, the fan base deserves better than that. By the way, Coach Brown, quote, we all want more than this. The fans definitely deserve more than this, end quote. And after that, I think the answer has been made up in my mind for a while. I've talked about this dating back to last season, leading up to this year, knowing Fox was on the horizon. I think De'Aaron's time, while he has been a great face of the franchise during the time, he's carried himself well off the court, and I like him as a person. As a player, we've seen that you can't win with him Unfortunately, he's not a number one. He's
Sure.
a great number two for a really good team, but
Agreed.
not a number one.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, I think his leadership style also he has to take accountability for his leadership style. I think that what the teams need, what the team needs is they need a better leader. I don't know what that looks like for the Kings, but I think Fox isn't the person for that. Unfortunately, man, tough low for the Beam Team era, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for the
Thank
Kings
you.
content. Go Kings. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Much love, guys. Appreciate you, Grant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dorian.
And when you talk about Fox, here's the reality of the situation. I always like to compare players on other teams. Trae Young, Atlanta, took them already to the Eastern Conference Finals one year, and he largely did it on. He was. I don't want to say a one-man band, but he was close to it.
Yep.
You look at what Jalen Brunson did with the Knicks last year. You look at what Ja Morant did when he got to Memphis. He took a losing, bad franchise and very quickly made them a force in the West. Okay? You look at what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done in Oklahoma City. All right? I don't want to say that Fox is not a good player because I would be lying to myself.
Yeah.
I think De'Aaron Fox is a good player. I think he is a very good player. But he's not a superstar. He's not great. And I am like Ryan. I have real doubts whether he will be a bona fide number one player on a top four team in the playoffs, meaning you get to the second, third, and fourth rounds. I don't believe he's that guy. I don't believe he'll ever get to be that guy. And so as an organization, how much money do you want to pay this guy moving forward? And you've had him now. This is the 8th year, and in all likelihood, you're not going to the playoffs this year. You're gonna hitch your wagon to the most important position on your floor to a guy that hasn't won a playoff series in 8 years and has only been in one playoffs. I'm just not.
And the flip side of that is if you think that you still might want to hitch your wagon to Fox and you see the potential there, you're at a point with this team, changes need to be made. So you could give up pieces. Rick Carlisle tonight on the record to Katie Christensen said that he thinks Keegan Murray will be an all-star by the time his career is done. And I don't disagree with
Indiana.
him. Well,
trade him to Indiana.
Well, I disagree, but if you saw what the Kings defense was without him, he will be, if he was on a better team, he would be considered for all NBA defensive team easily.
Well, here's what I do know. It's not working in Sacramento. So if you can get a really good piece or pieces for Keegan Murray, you got to think about doing it.
See, but that's where I disagree with you.
Okay.
Because what if you trade away Keegan Murray and Fox doesn't re-sign? You are now moving more towards a rebuild rather than a recalibration.
It depends who you get in return.
True, but you think Keegan's value is really going to bring you that type of return?
Well, if you have someone in the front office like Rick Carlisle who thinks that, yes, I do.
Well, again, I don't think your star on this team lifts everybody up and makes them better. I'm not saying he's holding them down. He's just not that type of player. Grant, look at what TJ McConnell does for that Pacers team.
Yep. It's a great point. Hey, I want to talk to you about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. If you need plumbing repairs over the holidays, make sure you remember sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. Again, New Works Plumbing, available 24/7. They've got a fix for you, sackserviceplumbing.com. Bennett's, Sacramento, Roseville, the West Side Grill. Enjoy this holiday season with their daily happy hours, 2 to 6, their sips and taste. It's awesome, all right? You're going to love their share plates. Their prices are really, really good. And the glasses of wine that are available to you, over 60 different types of wines available by the glass. Again, it's a great place to gather this holiday season at their 2 to 6 daily happy hour, sips and taste. Check it out. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, prime seafood and steak. Don't forget about their weekend brunch as well. Again, Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation.
Don't believe him? I hope you're not hungry.
I don't know about you, but if you're thinking about having a holiday party or a party of any kind, and you don't ask us to make our house smoked salmon, to grill our prime New York steak, to grill long stem artichokes, to make ahi pokey, What are you talking about? You're going to have a party and you're not going to call Bennett and have them take care of you? My goodness gracious. Give us a call. We can make this for Easter. We can make it for Christmas. We can make it for anybody's birthday.
Bye, Brian. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Oh, that would, if you had that spread in front of you, that's a
Oh, boy.
Merry Christmas.
I wouldn't feel so bad about today's game if I had that spread in front
Oh,
of me.
hell no, I would not either. We got a ton of people on the line, so thank you. We're going to get to all of you right now. Let's kick it to Jay. You're in the game.
How you guys doing?
What's up, Jay?
Well, where do you guys want to start? The Keon Ellis and the Doug McDermott situation. I think this is obviously Keon has probably one of the most consistent plus minuses, finishes in the positive, even in losses. So logically thinking, we know Mike Brown hasn't been doing the best job coaching, but I know he's smarter than just not to play him. There's a reason, I believe there's a reason above him that this guy's not playing. And like you said, Doug McDermott doesn't need 18 minutes shooting 1 for 4. There's actually a situation where I believe it is in January where the Kings, it's a partially guaranteed contract with Doug. So I'm assuming, being that it's late December, you want to see what this guy can really give you. And that has something to do with Doug's minutes tonight, as well as if you are looking to make a move, teams are asking about throwing in a Keon Ellis in a package. So I would assume there's something above Mike Brown instructing him to do this, because there's no logical reason why you wouldn't have Keon guard Tyrese Halliburton for at least 10 minutes out of the game.
Well, in that last scenario, you wouldn't have had Keon come on with the bench crew when Mike
That's
pulled the
correct.
starters.
That's right.
Well, if you're trying to kind of downplay what he attributes to this team, and I thought the same thing watching it, because unfortunately I forced myself to watch these terrible performances. It kind of looks bad if he's getting garbage time.
Well, first of all, Doug McDermott's not tradable. Nobody wants him.
No. It's if you want to extend him.
He was not on a roster, okay, when the Kings picked him up. Nobody wanted him. Doug McDermott's not a guy that teams are going to go, oh, yeah, we'll take him. You know, he's not tradable. If he's part of a trade for any type of money, like we'll pay you to take him or whatever, the other team would waive him immediately. His career is basically down the toilet.
Yeah, no, the Doug situation wasn't for the Kings have the option to extend him for the rest of the season.
Correct.
But I was saying Keon is the one that teams would be asking about, a younger guy.
No question.
Yeah.
Keon could be a role player on a lot of teams. Yes.
Yeah.
He's not a starter, but he could be a valuable bench guy. I would agree with that.
And with the new CBA, oh my gosh, his salary.
He's on a good contract, and he's restricted as well. So you have the option to match contract salaries when it comes to that time. But I want to get your take on, come on. We know Mike hasn't been the best coach this season, but there's something else going on. Someone else has to be pulling strings.
I'll tell you exactly what's going on. You have a very unhappy point guard, and he can say whatever the hell he wants. His body language, everything that's going on. You have a point guard that, quite frankly, to me, is not lockstep with his coach. It's very obvious to me. The comments that Mike Brown made this past week, calling out De'Aaron Fox comments last night on the postgame show and other postgame shows, it's very apparent to me that there is to say the least, it's not harmonious. Okay. That to me is a big issue on this team right now. And you can't ignore that.
A disconnect.
Yes.
And I agree with that 100%. And you proposed the question, well, you fired Mike Brown, who do you go after? It's tough. It's a tough market. There's not very many candidates.
Well, you know who Vivek wanted? He didn't want Mike Brown. He wanted Mark Jackson, and he then relented to what the overwhelming thought was Mike Brown. Vivek's got a thing for Mark Jackson. Just do not forget that name.
And he's out there, like you said yesterday.
And Mark would take the job in a heartbeat because he needs a job.
You know who I really like is Mike D'Antoni, and the Pelicans. I believe he's on their staff right now, their player staff or something like that, and it's not looking good for the Pelicans. So
yeah, Mike D'Antoni to me is Mike Brown.
Well, then we'll go. Mark.
What I mean by that, he's a retread coach. He's a good coach, and again, I think Mike D'Antoni's record speaks for itself. But Mike D'Antoni has been there, done that.
I see what you're saying,
and I almost feel funny talking about this when Mike Brown's the coach, because I have a lot of respect for Mike, and I've never met the man. So I'm going to be transparent here, but I know a lot of people that do know Mike Brown, and I've never heard a bad word about the man. And I actually don't feel right talking about who would replace him
Right.
because he's still the coach. So I actually don't really feel comfortable going down this road because I really do respect the man a lot just based on the people that I know that speak so highly of Mike.
And for Ryno, we've been talking about what we've needed what we needed to add to this team since free agency was still going on, right? And Kings fans all over were calling to make this roster better. They knew that this roster wasn't complete as is, that there was still positions of need that we need to address, clear positions. In a way, this is where you want to be as a Kings fan if you feel that way, because now you're really applying pressure to the front office and what they're going to do.
6-11 at home. If this team was, closer to 500, and I think it's, what I mean? This is below, like, we need to upgrade the roster. This is, we have a problem. There is a problem. There's a kink in the chain. And quite frankly, for as much as we're talking about Mike Brown, I'm not sure that Mike Brown's sending Monty McNair a Christmas card either.
I would agree.
This year.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. But I'll let you guys, I know you guys have tons of callers. So I'll let you guys handle that, and I'll be tuned in.
I'm going to also say the Kings are very close to having an embarrassing situation coming up for their home games because a lot of people are going to stop going to the games. They're not there yet, but it will get there.
Can you imagine a loss to, we asked this question, can you imagine a loss to Indiana? But what if they lost to Detroit?
Detroit just beat Phoenix in Phoenix.
I know.
They scored 130 plus points. They just beat the Suns.
Yep.
Why would I think the Kings are going to beat Detroit? They lost to them last year.
Because
that was without their best player on the floor.
Well, I'll give you a little ammo. The teams that dominated the Kings last year, they've beat this year. So they've had a little fire in their belly for them. Pelicans and the Rockets. Maybe Detroit's the same way. That was one of the worst losses of the year.
They've also lost to the Lakers 3 times, and they swept them all 4 last year.
Yeah, they're just, making it right. They're squaring it off.
You got to remember, here's the other thing about the Kings. They have not played Boston. Hi, Baki. Let me just finish, and we'll get to you, Baki. They haven't played Boston yet. They haven't played Milwaukee yet. They haven't played the Knicks yet. All right? They've only played 1 game against the Warriors, and, even though the Warriors are not playing that well right now, they've only played 1 game against Oklahoma City. They've only played 1 game against Memphis. They've only played 1 game against Houston. I mean, they're going to get their ass kicked here in the second half of the season. That's just the way it's going to be. Baki, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, Kings, maybe they're going to win those games, so what are we going to say then? They beat Boston. Last year we played better against better teams, against great teams, and lost some crazy games against very poor teams like Detroit last year. And I don't know. I want to say something about those trade conversations and those stuff like, I said 2 nights ago, I wouldn't notice even if they trade Fox. I don't care, or maybe I care, but let's be honest and let's get the facts. Fox is a great player, and I know you Grant, you share that thoughts with me.
I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's a very good
maybe
player.
He's a very good player, but he
great as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a great player.
Okay, I'm gonna separate those. Okay, but you expected him to be great player after 3, 4, 5 years, right?
He's in his 8th year.
Yeah, I know. So that's why I said after 3, 4, 5 years, you said maybe he's gonna rise more and gonna be real leader of the team, but doesn't happen. And the problem is, why would you trade player who is very good player? We all know, you can ask everybody will say, okay, Fox can do crazy things on the court, and he can do things that no one can do in this league. So he's very fast. He's great on the getting in the paint.
And how much
and,
longer do you think he's going to be very fast?
Sorry?
How much longer do you think he's going to be very fast? He's been in the league 8 years now. What happens when he loses half his step?
Of course.
Then what happens?
Yeah, but that's if you're fast, you're fast because you're born fast. Okay, you can see.
Yeah, you're not going to be born fast once you turn 30. You're going to still be fast, but you're not going to be. Here's the point I'm trying to make, Baki. You know, at some point, if it's not working, you got to try something different.
Yeah, but listen, they're going to switch the coach. Maybe not.
How many times are you going to switch the coach? How many coaches has De'Aaron Fox had in his career? He's already gone through a number of coaches. I mean, it is what it is. He's not going to all of a sudden, you know, in his 8th year, Baki, in all due respect to you, you know, become the player that you want him to become. He's a very good player, okay? But here's the deal. In 8 years, he's been on the All-Star team once, and he was added on because of an injury. He's never made first, second, or third All-NBA team. So he's not great. All right. Great players make the All-Star team every year. Great players are on either the first, second, or third team. He's a very good player, and it's not working. I'm not putting all the blame on him. I'm just talking about the reality of the situation. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's broke, fix it. This team right now is broken.
Of course. But my point is with Fox, he is not doing the things he's capable to do every night. The problem is he's doing it. The problem, that's the correct question. Why? But that is the question even you don't know. Can you imagine all of us fans around the world? Never mind. So the problem is he's doing it 1 out of 5. He should do it every night. Okay, maybe not every night.
That's why we're talking about. That's why you can move him because of everything you just said. You're not helping your argument when you make a comment like that.
No, Grant, I wanna ask. My question is, what do you think? Why is that happening with him? What is the fuel which will make him play every night like he's capable to? Because the guy is very talented. The guy, you're gonna waste. Okay, you're gonna trade him, and you're gonna get who?
He still can't shoot the 3 well enough for me. But he is very talented.
Yeah. The same. I share that with you. He cannot shoot the 3. So why shooting the 3? You are the best. When you go after the pick, you go straight to the rim, and you are one of the best in that kind of the game. So you remember Vladi and Chris Webber and all the guys. You made your opponents to think about how to stop. Okay, Shaquille O'Neal. Should we double the guy or we leave it? When we double one, what do we do next? They are doing the same with Nikola. They are trying and trying. What is the kind? So you don't have the player in Sacramento who is making the defense of the other team thinking what to do. They just leave it 1-on-1 and we beat ourselves. So you're gonna trade Fox, and what you're gonna get?
How much worse could he get? I'm going to make no playoffs in 8 years instead of 1 playoff in 8 years. I mean, you know, at some point, Baki, if you have a commodity, you have a chance to get another commodity. I mean, look at players move teams, move all the time in this league. Play all-stars or non-all-stars get traded every year. I mean, look at LeBron James, how many teams he's been on. I mean, Chris Paul, I can go on and on. Good players get traded. All the Jalen Brunson's not on Dallas anymore. He's on the Knicks. Look at Dwayne Wade. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Very good players and superstars get traded in this league. It's part of the deal. Why not explore it?
Grant, we are talking about Fox and Mike Brown almost every night. But even when Fox is playing bad, he's scoring 30 points.
That's the point. That's the Baki. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But
cut me, no problem.
That is the exact point. It takes so much away for Fox to get his 30, to get his 40, unless it's one of those special nights.
Exactly.
Where he is working on the assist end too. That you have a team that's set up to have a point guard setting them up. I'm not knocking Fox's game. He's not the right fit for how this team is built right now. And quite frankly, he's probably a little jaded that Domantas Sabonis comes in making more money than him. Then you've drafted Halliburton. Now you've drafted Devin Carter. He probably doesn't feel like the man, and there's a chip on his shoulder.
Okay, how many
It's just
points
not-
you missed? How many points you missed per game from DeRozan per game?
How many points do you miss from DeRozan?
Yeah. What about DeRozan? Tell me about him.
DeRozan's been very good the majority of this year. I'm not going to knock the guy because he's had a couple of games with these.
Maybe majority of his career, but majority of this year, he was good. And then our score was like 50, like about 50, one or one other. But last 5, 6, 7 games, where is he? I don't see it. I don't see the game. I don't see the game. He is the creator, and also he is the shooter. Now he tried to shoot the threes. This is not the natural position for DeRozan.
So
DeRozan is inside the line player.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree there. Right. I think that should be where Keegan Murray or Trey Lyles needs to be in the corner. Kevin Huerter, as Grant said, not DeRozan. Everybody needs to step up. This is not just a Fox thing. By the way,
that's why I'm gonna go back to Jay, and I totally agree with him. Something is happening which is not allowing those players to play their best game. We all know if you are Coach Brian and having the team who is the best in the league, maybe not best, but finishing third in the regular, and you are Coach of the Year because of that, and you played some basketball, like moving the ball all the way every game. I'm watching that exactly. And now you don't have anything about those games. Now you have some pick and rolls, trailings, shooting threes. It's quite different. There is a reason for that, and we don't know it.
Yeah. Maki, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas.
You too, guys. Merry Christmas. All the best wishes.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Boy, losing sucks. I'll tell you what does not suck, though, and that's EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. And you can get all the information at edhmotors.com. If you are thinking of an automobile this holiday season, go to EDH Motors, Mercedes, Land Rover, Toyota, whatever brand you're looking for. EDH Motors can get it for you, and you never have to step foot into a typical franchise dealership, saving you money and time. And you know what? You might even have a little fun. Check out their inventory at edhmotors.com. They've got a little bit of everything from exotics, Highline, classics, economy. And remember this, if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll go get it for you. They're located at their beautiful lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. It's awesome. Go to edhmotors.com. EDH Motors Automotive Reimagine. You know what, folks? We can sit here and debate this all we want. What's wrong with the Kings? Is it the front office? Is it the coaching? Is it De'Aaron Fox? But here's what I do know. Once again, the loyal Sacramento Kings fans are getting this shaft because they freaking deserve better. And the boos that were coming from the stands today were earned by the Sacramento Kings. And when you get booed on your home floor, that should be a wake-up call. Unfortunately, it's not the first time we've heard boos this season, and the wake-up call has yet to come. You're now 4 games under 500. You're an embarrassing 6-11 on your home floor. And you know what that means? It means that everyone in that locker room is cheating your customer. That's right. The ticket prices, not inexpensive. People make sacrifices to go to the games. They spend a hell of a lot of money, and you come out and play like this, 122-95, with a team that had the same number of wins as you at the beginning of the day. It's a freaking embarrassment. And every player in that locker room and every coach should be embarrassed and ashamed of themselves. You know what? If you don't want to play for each other, play for your damn loyal fans. This is a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. And everyone on that team that has Kings across their front, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, should damn apologize to your fan base because they freaking deserve more. And that's my rant for today.
Well said. Well said. Malik Monk came out and said, I need to do better. I need to pick these guys up. So he heard your rant before you even ranted it.
Talk is cheap. Stop talking and do it. I'm so sick of these damn comments. I need to do this. We need to do this. Didn't we have this same conversation before the game at Minnesota from Malik? And I'm not down on Malik. I'm just saying,
I
you know what? Just do it.
I hear you.
Just do it.
You're spot on, Grant. It's been all words and no actions this year. Spot freaking on. Alex, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Hey guys, Merry Christmas. How are you?
Merry Christmas, Alex.
Hey, yeah, good to hear from you both again. Look, I'm gonna make this real quick because I'm at work. I gotta go, but I just want to say, and I've been saying this to all my people that I talk basketball with. I feel like this is the most talented roster that the Kings have had since 2002. It's the starting five. Okay, the bench depth not great. We got a few guys on the bench, but our starting five. We've not had a starting five this talented since 2002. So to me, as a coach of multiple sports, growing up around sports, having it be such a huge part of my life, when there is a talent surplus and you are not winning, there can only be one problem, and it's the coaching. There's something that is not matching up between our talent and our scheme. Our player types are not being utilized correctly. It's not fitting together right. And I put that on Mike Brown. You know, the guy showing up and not playing intense basketball night after night, I don't really put that on the players. I put that on Mike Brown. There's something he is missing with this team. There's a disconnect. And I think it's time to move on from him.
Thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys have a good
The
night.
question is, if you move on from him, then what are you going to do?
I don't know. It's a good question. But the players clearly are not responding to this, touch the paint, spray, more threes. I mean, look at his rotations. They're ridiculous. We get guys
They are
that
ridiculous. I can't fault you there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Keon Ellis is just baffling to me. I don't know how the guy can go from a starter in the second half of last season due to injuries, play very well, start, this season on the bench, then start, then go to the bench, be complimented by the coach after games, and then all of a sudden, then he doesn't play, then he does play, then he's not. I don't understand it. You have a weak bench, and this guy can't get on the floor. How does this guy, Ryan, not get on the floor with a weak bench?
There's no excuse for him not being on the floor. He sparked them the last couple of games. He kept them in it with the Lakers with his defense. Do I need to bring up Colby Jones against the Nuggets? Hasn't played since. Alex, here's what I'll tell you. You are right about this. You're asking the team to get to the paint and spray the ball, yet you only have now two guys on the starting five that realistically can get to the paint on their own. Keegan Murray's not getting to the paint on his own usually.
Nope.
Domas ain't doing it usually, and DeMar not usually either. So you're asking finishers to create. That's the premise of the offense, and it is flawed to a degree. You're spot on.
And we also the guys who were shooting so well in 2022, and to a lesser degree maybe last year, they're not shooting it well this year.
No,
so
they're
it's
not.
like we touch the paint, we spray to the open three, we miss, right? And then the confidence levels tank. Right, we keep trying to run the same DHO, pick and roll, touch the paint, spray it out, miss. Right now, the confidence is gone. We got to do something different. We got to switch
Alex,
up the
Merry
game
Christmas.
plan.
Yeah, Merry
All right,
Christmas.
sorry guys.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Let's get to James. Let's get him on. James, how are you? Thank you very much for joining the show. It's great to have you on.
Hey, both you guys. This is my first time calling. I appreciate everything you guys do. I've been watching you for a while.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm from Sacramento. I live in Alabama now, but the Kings keep me still connected to Sacramento, so I love that. I hate to see what I'm seeing right now with how the Kings are playing. I think there's a big disconnect from what they were doing right a couple of years ago. I don't know what happened with that. Kind of want to get your guys' view on that. With Keegan, I understand the push for defense, but why him? I look at him as like a pure shooter, a spot up shooter. I look at how he handles the ball, how he dribbles. I don't think he has good handles. I don't think he can
does
move.
not.
I don't think
Great
he can
point.
move both ways. He just seems like he fumbles the ball. I think they need to get back to what was working for them a couple of years ago.
I agree with you on Keegan and his lack of ball handling skills. I think it is a problem. And first of all, I want to reiterate, it's great to have you on. We love first-time callers, so we would love to have you on again. You make some good points. Ryan, you want to take this?
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, Alex, because Keegan Murray
James.
excuse me, James. I was
It's
looking at
okay.
Alex on the screen.
Okay.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, James. I think you make a good point because Keegan Murray, to agree, was Mike Brown's first canvas, right? First
Right.
year, Mike Brown was the coach. Mike wanted to do defense here. Team turned into an offensive team, but they've developed him as a defensive player. So,
Right.
what would the possibilities be otherwise? I think you got something there.
Yeah, I wish I can see them go back to what worked before. And Mike Brown, I don't know, he just had an enthusiasm when he came originally. Now you don't see him saying much. He's just standing there. He allows things to unravel and doesn't make adjustments. And then the people that he sends in to replace the starters or any of his replacements, they don't make sense. I don't think anybody can get warmed up. I mean, it's like he forgets how to coach. I'm not, knocking his coaching ability. I'm not a coach. I wouldn't know what I'm doing out there. But he's been in the league for so long. He should know which rotations would work, and he should know the strengths of his players and the weaknesses, and be able to utilize what would work based off of their strengths. And I don't know what's going on with Mike Brown.
I don't either.
James, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. It's been like almost autopilot, at least with the media. And here's one thing, Grant, you talked about Jordy leaving James. You bring up this point. Jordy handled a lot of the rotations.
Yeah, he did.
Before he left.
Right. Exactly. And the last point before I, go, I don't want to take up too much time is, what I've noticed is that Fox is getting a lot of media attention. All the years that he's been there, when he should have been being noticed a long time ago, he wasn't. And I think a lot of the talk is getting to his head. I don't think he wants to be there anymore. I looked at Buddy Hield when he wanted to leave. You can tell by his play. He was lackadaisical. He did not care. And I think that's what we're seeing with Fox. He's having all these media people hype him up, and I think it's getting to his head. And I just don't think he wants to be there anymore. And that's the last point I want to make. I want to go on and get off, and I'll be looking forward to continuing to listen to you guys. Thank you
Where
very
do you
much.
live in Alabama?
What's that, sir?
Where are you in Alabama?
I'm in Birmingham.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. You're from Sacramento, you said, right?
Correct.
All right. I was just curious. When you move to that part of the country, does it just blow you away what it's like during college football season?
Oh yeah, people ask me it's either Auburn or Alabama.
Yeah.
And I'll just say Roll Tide to Auburn fans just to piss them off. It's hilarious. Well, you guys take care. I love you both. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Please call
Merry
again.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Will do.
James.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you both.
Good
God bless.
job.
Right. Good stuff, man. I love that. I love getting first-time callers, and that's phenomenal. That's good stuff.
Freaking nailed it. Sorry, G. It's gonna be hard to follow up from Australia, but you can do it.
Hey, how are you guys?
What's up, mate?
How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Not well. I just wanted to make a few points. One of my points, I don't think you guys are going to like, but I'm going to start with that one. I think one of the big problems with this team is why they sag in on defense is because of Sabonis's limitations defensively. And I also think that offensively, he's extremely limited. He's got no moves. He doesn't shoot enough for a player that gets paid $40 million. And I think that's one of the reasons impacting this team's defense the most. Second point I want to make, yes, it's time for Fox to go. All right, 100%. But has he been getting any help from DeRozan lately?
DeRozan has not been playing well lately. I think that's been apparent. Not the way he was before his back injury or back spasms, I should say. I shouldn't say injury, back strain, whatever.
And a lot of minutes before that.
Yep.
So when all these players, all these role players are missing their wide open threes, DeRozan is just struggling. He's a ghost on defense. And with Sabonis's limitations, it's all on Fox, and we're all blaming Fox. And it's time for him to go. Yeah, we all agree on that. It's time for him to be traded.
No, we don't. Whoa. We don't all agree on that. That's not true. We don't all agree on that. There's a wide range of opinion. There are a lot of people that do not agree with that. So that's not accurate. We don't all agree that he needs to go.
Okay, let me rephrase it then. Say general consensus. And I'm one of
I
those.
don't even know if I would go that far. Let's just say
Okay,
that
okay.
there are people on both
Score 'em.
sides of the fence, okay?
Okay, from my point of view, it's time for him to go. He's been there 8 years.
That's fine.
He's had 2 or 3 really good seasons, and he's had a lot of down years. Some of those down years, I can't blame them all on him, because he's played with some terrible players like Mo Harkless and Marvin Bagley. You can't blame those seasons on Fox. There wasn't enough talent there. But these last 2 years, definitely, we've seen his body language change, and his lack of effort in some games hasn't been there. But yeah, let's just move on. Let's get as many assets as we can for Fox. I'm sure we could get 2 or 3 draft picks and a couple of young players. But let me just tell people that think, when you look at Sabonis, everyone looks at his stats. In my opinion, the entire offense is run through him, and that's why he gets his stats. And if people think that after Fox leaves, Sabonis is going to carry you to the promised land, they're in major denial, because he's a part of the problem. And that's all I just wanted to say today. Thanks for
Okay.
that.
All
Merry
right.
Christmas.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Merry
We're getting great calls today. I will tell you that.
We are.
I'm very. I wish we had better news to talk about, but the one thing I love about this fan base is they care, win or lose, and they're passionate, and I love that, and that's why we love doing these shows. So thank you very much.
Amen. Well said. You know what I think we could all agree on? This all started when that Roy Al character showed up in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Let's blame it on Roy Al. It's Roy Al's problem.
Oh, God.
All right. We're going to try this one. Sean, what's going on tonight?
Hey, Grant. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Sean.
I'm so
Just for a starter, I feel bad for all the Kings fans, but especially for Baki. It's like 3:00 in the morning in Serbia. He deserves better basketball to go to sleep to,
Amen. You're 100% correct about that.
The thing I wanted to touch on is Mike Brown in general. He's, like you used the word earlier, called a retread. That's exactly what he is. Pretty much everywhere he's been. He's had talented rosters in Cleveland. He had a talented roster with the Lakers with Kobe. Now he has a talented roster. At what point do we say maybe he's part of the problem?
Well, he is part of the problem based on their team's record right now. I don't think there's any. And by the way, I think Mike Brown would admit that he's not. He's got to do a better job too. I think he would admit that. But I guess we can sit here and talk about Mike Brown all we want, being this or being that. He's the coach of the team currently. And if for whatever reason you want to go in a different direction,
right,
who would you get to replace him? It's not as easy as it sounds. Just because you get rid of the coach doesn't mean that things get better. My experience, and I've gone through this a lot, so I think I'm very well qualified to talk about this. My experience is rarely does a coaching change in the middle of the year make your team better. Rarely.
Yeah. Right.
And I've gone through many coaching changes in the middle of the year. I've lived through them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even football, there's like a 1-game bump in football, like the game right after the coach gets fired, but then it wears off.
So let's also come to the realization of, if you were to fire Mike Brown today, that doesn't mean that things are just going to get better, and they might get better for a game or two. But my experience is it's the team, not the coach, on most of the occasions.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. I don't want to derail too much, but Ricky Henderson did pass. I just wanted to bring that up, and I wanted to know if you had any quick stories about him.
Yes. I don't normally like to deviate from basketball, but I will share a story about 2 stories that I had about Ricky Henderson.
Thank you.
The first time was when he was with the Oakland A's in the late 80s, and I asked Ricky for an interview, and he said, let's go into the dugout where it's not so hot. There's very active. So I sat in the dugout with my cameraman, and Ricky Henderson gave me, I want to say, a 10-minute interview, and it was unbelievable. It was fascinating. Fast forward years later, Ricky's playing for the Yankees. I go to the game at the Coliseum, and this was when they didn't have seats behind home plate. There was, behind the screen, there was a walkway where, as members of the media, you could go stand. And me being a huge Yankees fan, I wanted to be as close to the action as I could. So I've got my press pass, and I'm standing about 15 to 20 feet away from the Yankee dugout. And all of a sudden, Ricky Henderson, who was not playing because of a hamstring injury, comes out and stands behind the backstop in the middle of the game. And Ricky and I start talking. It was unbelievable. And I don't know if he recognized me from a member of the media. I doubt it very much. But anyway, we just started talking. And he was asking me some questions. And I said, well, I'm from New York. I'm a diehard Yankee fan, but I work in Sacramento. I do the Kings games. And so we started talking. And I said, how's the hamstring? How you doing? He said, man, this is so frustrating. I'm getting beat up by the New York media. I said, why is that? He said, because people don't understand what I go through. My legs are different than most people. And then he flexed his leg in front of me, and he had his baseball pants on. He said, look at my thighs. I'm like, wow, they were humongous. He said, the muscles in my leg are different than most humans. I have leg issues because of how I am built and how I play. And he said, when I have a hamstring strain or an issue, I can't do what I do best. And then I get questioned that I'm dogging it and that I'm not earning my money. And Ricky and I had, I'm not exaggerating, we must have had a 30-minute conversation in the middle of the game. The game's going on right in front of us. And I will tell you, to this day, it's one of the most unexpected, enjoyable moments that I've had in my career, was standing behind the backstop in the middle of the Yankees-A's game, having a long conversation with Ricky Henderson, completely off the record, just two guys shooting the breeze. And he had genuine interest in me and the Kings, and he started asking me some questions about the Kings and the NBA. It was fascinating. So that's my memory of Ricky Henderson. I loved being around him. I loved his passion for the game. And Ricky always talked in the third person. So when you interviewed Ricky Henderson and his accent, you go, well, Ricky Henderson need to be doing this. Ricky Henderson need to be doing that. You'd have to not laugh while you were interviewing him, because he didn't say, I need to do this, or we need. No, Ricky Henderson,
Yeah.
Will Clark shared a funny story about being on first base when Will was playing first base. And he said Ricky was the most enjoyable guy to be around. And Will talked about him playing the third person. And then he was telling Will, Ricky gone. Will go, you going to steal? Ricky gone. Ricky gone. And Ricky stole second base. And he got the second, and he looks at Will. I told you Ricky Henderson gone. I told you Ricky gone. Will said that he would be playing first base, trying not to laugh as he was talking with Ricky Henderson.
I bet you Ricky would be the type, like, if you were like, yeah, Grant Napier thinks you're a great player, he'd be like, why are you talking in third person? Ricky doesn't like that.
But Will Clark, Ricky gone.
Oh
Really?
my gosh.
You're gonna be running on us? Ricky gone, and then Ricky steals second. But can you imagine standing up? Will, I told you Ricky Henderson gone.
You got the voice down too. You're killing me.
I love
my
Ricky. He was one of
gosh.
my favorite guys to interview. But then when I had that personal experience with him in the middle of the game, first of all, I couldn't believe that I was talking to Ricky Henderson of the Yankees in the middle of the game. I mean, we both had our hands up on the back of the metal bar behind the screen, and it was unbelievable.
That would never happen today because of social media. Ever.
No.
Ever. What
Anyway.
a cool story.
Yep.
That makes up for the loss a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, you know what else I want to tell you about? And I want to thank them so much for what they've done for this show, and that's Sunrise Landing. They have been great. Dennis Blazona and all the work that they do, phenomenal. All right. And you go to CalusaSunrise.com. I want to wish everyone at Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. 6 models to choose from, no Mellorews, no homeowners, good location adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Go to CalusaSunrise.com and get all the information that you need. Again, that is CalusaSunrise.com and Sunrise Landing. And while we have a moment before we wrap up this show today, I want to thank our sponsors, New Works Plumbing, Bennett's, just talked about Lazona Development, and EDH Motors, who's been with us since September. We greatly appreciate your support and greatly appreciate your businesses and the people that have reached out to us here on this platform to talk about using these sponsors and all the positive feedback. That means the world to us. And whether you celebrate Christmas or not, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And I mean this, and I know I speak for Ryan. We do this show for you. We greatly support your interest by you supporting us. And Ryan does his show every day. I'm doing multiple shows, and we're doing the shows for you. All right. And you're the reason why we have a channel that continues to grow. And we love this format. Ryan has done an unbelievable job since joining me. Was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
We hope that we're doing this for many years to come, but we're only going to be doing it for many years to come if you continue to support us and spread the word, because you make it worthwhile for us. So this holiday season, I just want to say thank you very much. With all sincerity, I appreciate the heck out of you. I mean that. Thank you very much. You are freaking awesome. The support that I continue to receive after working at the radio station and doing the Kings games has floored me. All the messages I get on social media and on my email and the followers that I have on X and here on this channel means the world to me. So thank you very much. Ryan, I know I speak for you too, buddy. I know I speak for you as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Wonderful community, wonderful sponsors. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for everything. Thank you for doing this for all of us. I am one of those fans as well, and the merriest of Christmas to you and your beautiful family, my friend.
Thank you. You too. And I want to end this show by saying this. All right. I've got a lot of experience going through bad times with the Sacramento Kings. 32 years, mostly losing seasons. I've been through GM firings. I've been through coaching firings. I've been through controversial trades. I've been through everything. I really have. I've gone through yelling at owners. I've gone through a potential move to Anaheim, to Seattle, to Virginia. I've been through a lot, okay? The one thing that always keeps me standing upright and proud is to be associated with just an amazing fan base. And I know things suck right now, and I don't have the answer. I don't have a crystal ball. But just understand when we say that we want this guy fired or that guy fired, that, you know, they're very well compensated, but they're human beings and they have families and they have loved ones. And yeah, money's great, but always think of the other aspects when we as sports fans want people's jobs. Because I've been very close to the coaches that have coached the Kings. And I'm going to talk next week about a book that I just received, Paul Westfall's book, who passed away from brain cancer at the age of 69. And I love Paul, but I've loved a lot of the coaches that have come through here. I really have. Love Reggie Theus to this day. Really close with Dave Yeager. Love Eddie Jordan. Love Rick Adelman. Love Keith Smart. And I can name so many other coaches, Michael Malone, who I still am in touch with on a regular basis. You get to know these men and you get to know their families and what they go through. And I'll just say this in closing about Mike Brown. If you think that Mike Brown doesn't care, you're wrong. And I've never met Mike. These coaches can't sleep at night. They think about how they can make the team better, what they can do, and they care. They need to do better, though. You deserve better. You go to the games every night. You watch the games. You spend money on the merchandise. You deserve better. And you know what? If you don't like what you see, do what you did today. Boo. And if you're not fortunate enough to be at the game, there are other ways you can make your voices heard. You deserve better. You deserve better. On that note, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you when the Kings play next against the Detroit Pistons. And I'll do a show tomorrow. We'll be on at 4 o'clock. Ryan's got the Kings Court at 2. We'll be with you. We're not going anywhere. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.